So when you're undefeated, the number one team in the country, and you look like the most complete team in college football, there's not a lot of negative things you can say. That doesn't mean this team is perfect, but it does mean that there's a lot of good. And so in the preseason, we do this thing on Buckeye Talk, if you go listen to that, where we drive a bus. He had Davis and Igbinosun. He had Arvell Reese. I had Kenyatta Jackson. It's the mid-season point. I know they've played 7 games, but this is their second bye week before the home stretch. We are adding a sidecar to our buses. So here we go. Andrew, you get to go first. Who's joining Davis and Igbinosun on your journey, and where are they going?
It is Jaylen McLaurin. I think Jaylen McLaurin is playing like an all-Big Ten safety. Like, this is somebody where I think it was just so easy to talk about Caleb Downs and then just kind of end the conversation. And this was true last year too, right? Like, this is why Stefan, basically every time we talked about the secondary and what they were going to go up against in the playoff, he was like, guys, Lathan Ransom, though. Like, Lathan Ransom's awesome. Like, Stefan every week was like, Lathan Ransom, Lathan Ransom. Well, it's kind of the same thing with Jaylen McLaurin. Like, I feel like this year that everybody kind of talked about this secondary and went, okay, like, we'll see. They bring back Davis and Igbinosun, who obviously I drove the bus for. You know, Caleb Downs, what is driving the bus for Caleb Downs, really? I mean, top 5 pick, Heisman finalist. Like how far can you really take that thing? But Jaylen McLaurin has played at a level to where you really haven't skipped a beat from what Lathan Ransom was last year. And Lathan Ransom was, I don't know, a top 5, top 8 safety in college football last year, paired with Caleb Downs. Jaylen McLaurin, I think, has filled that role very nicely. He's physical. He can run. He can play in a lot of different ways. I don't think there's been a lot of coverage breakdowns at Ohio State's defense. Like, when you have Caleb Downs and it's basically like, he can play here, he can play here, he can play here, he can play there, he can play here, and you're just moving him all over the board, you need some stability at safety. Like, if Jaylen McLaurin was not good, Ohio State would not be doing this. Like, if Jaylen McLaurin was not a good football player or even a reliable football player, Caleb Downs would not be able to be moving around as he has. And people are going to point to Caleb Downs' stats and whatever. No, Caleb Downs is awesome. He's been awesome. But Jaylen McLaurin deserves a lot of respect for what he's done this year, because I mean, for a secondary that has been really, really good, and that includes Jermaine Matthews, that includes, I think, Davis and Igbinosun getting better, that includes Lorenzo Styles or Devin Sanchez, however they've kind of mapped that out. Jaylen McLaurin has been just as big a part of this as anybody. So Jaylen McLaurin, I mean, hats off to him. He has been quite the football player for Ohio State, and he is playing at an all-Big Ten level.
And I think it's not just that he's a do-your-job guy anymore. I think he's like a dude. They're moving him all over. Because I think how the way we talked about in the preseason was, if they can just do their job, they can be awesome with Caleb Downs. Like, no, they can be awesome with Jaylen McLaurin as well. It's almost as if Caleb's going to leave after the season and Jaylen McLaurin's going to become the new Caleb Downs.
We're talking about Malik Hartford being a redshirt guy because of what Jaylen McLaurin has done. Like, there's no rotation there. Like, there's no, hey, Leroy Roker's factoring into the mix. Hey, Fahim Delane's taking that step. No, this is Jaylen McLaurin's job, and he's holding on to it, and he's going to hold on to it for as long as he's at Ohio State.
Andrew Gillis, the offensive line guy, driving the bus for 2 guys in the secondary. Stefan. And the reason why he's driving the bus for 2 secondary guys is because this guy stole the offensive line guy. Talk about Austin Siereveld a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Siereveld is just been terrific for Ohio State this season, and I wrote about him at cleveland.com this week, just about, you know, his journey from being this guy who thought he was a 4-star prospect. Like, he was highly recruited. You know, Notre Dame was going after him, Alabama was going after him, and Ohio State, team he grew up rooting for, was going after him. And he ends up at Ohio State thinking that he's next in line to Donovan Jackson, as in Donovan Jackson, the All-American left guard. Okay, well, then Donovan Jackson became an All-American left tackle, and Austin Siereveld still followed in those footsteps, and now he's playing at an All-American level left tackle. I wrote on cleveland.com that he is the best offensive tackle in college football never saw coming, right? Like, he's a guy that was not getting a ton of preseason hype, and I get it. Like, he had never played left tackle before. It wasn't until late in preseason camp that we even knew he was going to be left tackle. I think at the end of spring we had an idea of, oh, he might be this team's starting right tackle, and then by the end of August we were like, oh wow, he's about to be the starting left tackle against Texas. He's given up no sacks this year and only 5 pressures. And that's important because the guy behind him is a first-time starting quarterback. Julian Sayin is at Wisconsin, sliding to his left, unleashing a pass to Carnell Tate, because he doesn't have to worry that when he slides to the left side, things are going to be fine over there because of what Austin Siereveld has done this year. He's just been outstanding for Ohio State. Coming into here, I think we had some discussions maybe on Buckeye Talk of like, okay, is this a guy who can play at an elite level? Could he be an all Big Ten caliber player? you can very well make the case for him to be the best offensive lineman in college football this year, best left tackle, whatever you want to label it as. He has been an All-American level at left tackle, and that is huge to what this offense is doing, especially now as we go into the bye week. And we have some questions about what's going on the right side, right? Like, is there going to be a rotation at right guard? Philip Daniels didn't have a great game against Wisconsin, right? Like, whatever's happening on the right side, you can work with it because the left side with Luke Montgomery and Austin Siereveld has been held down. So I'm riding the bus for Austin Siereveld the rest of this season because I should say driving the bus the rest of the season because he's an All-American candidate, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. He told us that if you had asked him last year, would he be a starting left tackle, he probably would have been like, no, because I'm going to be a guard. And then if you had asked him in the spring, he probably would have been like, no, I'm going to be the right tackle. Like, he has so seamlessly moved into this left tackle role. And even if he says it's easy, he told me at Rose Bowl Media Day last year that watching Donovan do it and him in preseason 2024, Austin repped a little bit at tackle. He said, like, it is very hard to do. And now that he's doing it, he's kind of downplaying it, being like, oh, yeah, it's not that hard. I'm just doing my job. No, he told us last year how hard it was to make that transition because he watched Donovan Jackson do it. And now he's doing it seamlessly. And it's probably the most impressive thing in college football that nobody's talking about.
I think it's always cool when a program spends 9 months telling you about a guy, and then he goes and validates while they were telling us about the guy, right? Him, Sonny Styles, and Jeremiah Smith were the only people who were Iron Buckeyes in both the winter and the summer months. He's a captain. And, I mean, yeah, everything that they told us about Austin Siereveld over the last 9 months has proven to be true with how he is playing. Speaking of guys nobody saw coming, I think if you would have said who's going to be the breakout guy on the defensive line this year, you would have said either Kenyatta Jackson or Edric Houston or Caden McDonald. You would have started in that order. I think you can make a case right now that Kaden Curry has been the most productive defensive end in college football. Like, and there's other guys who have a case. Like Ruben Bain is a dominant force, but if we're talking about production, he's got 7 sacks right now. Here's Chase Young, 2019. I tweeted this out, and I sent it to our texter, 614-350-3315. In 2019, through 7 games, 23 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, a pass breakup, 4 forced fumbles, and 30 pressures, and 269 snaps. Here's Kaden Curry through 7 games this year. 35 tackles, 10 TFLs, 7 sacks, a pass breakup, a fumble recovery, 26 pressures, and 296 snaps. So he is on pace with a dude who got to New York and was dominant. He's not Chase Young. We're not saying he's as good as Chase Young. But the production, I mean, I don't know, man. That seems pretty on par with what Chase Young was. And I don't know if any of us were thinking about that. In the preseason, I drove the bus for Kenyatta Jackson. And I'm not backing off of that bus. I think Kenyatta Jackson is starting to get unleashed a little bit. Now, they're not just having him be a set-the-edge guy and he can get after the passer a little bit. But Kaden Curry has found a way to be productive and do his job. And I think he is putting himself in a position that maybe he's an All-American candidate. But I would for sure mark down that if he keeps this up, one, it's going to be funny for him to have to play Indiana in a Big Ten championship game in a world where Indiana could have kept him home a long time ago. But I think he's going to be the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year. And that's in a conference with Zane Durant, Denai Dennis Sutton, Mateo Uiagalelei, Mikael Kamara. There's some good defensive linemen in this conference right now, but I don't think any of them have been as productive and as dominant as Kaden Curry has been. How many defensive linemen in the country have the type of game Kaden Curry had against Washington? Right? How many guys have that? So this has been a year of new stars. He called it no names, a bunch of no-name guys. And I think all 3 of us, whether it's Austin Siereveld, whether it's Jaylen McLaurin or Kaden Curry, these are guys who have not been stars. They have been, second-line guys for most of their career. And now they're getting their opportunity, and it's making us not even miss last year's defense.
So, and I think when we talk about all 3 of these guys, like Siereveld we figured was going to be a starter in some way. McLaurin we at least figured was going to be in the rotation in some way. While we did think Kaden Curry was going to be in the rotation in some way, it was not unreasonable on like August 1st to say, hey, it's going to be Kenyatta Jackson and Bo Atkinson as this team's defensive ends, right? Like it was not crazy to suggest that those 2 were the guys. I mean, they had Kenyatta Jackson, and was it JJ who said before fall camp or during fall camp that Kenyatta was a first-round talent and a first-round level player? And you're like, whoa.
He's got the traits of the first-round draft pick of the guys in the defensive line room right now.
Exactly right. And then they went out and they made a big splash and got Bo Atkinson, who had, I think, 7.5 sacks at North Carolina last year. And you're like, wait a minute. They start mapping this out. This defensive line could be pretty good. I just don't think any of us saw this from Caden Curry coming, which is why I think maybe that's one of the more impressive good surprises for Ohio State this season.
It's also a shame on us for not seeing that coming because, like, seriously, the last 3 years in his small role, he has often flashed in his small role. I was talking to Stefan about this at the Wisconsin game. How athletic is this dude that he's playing defensive end, but he has also been on kick coverage at points in his career. He's on punt block right now, and he's not just like a guy on the line. Like, no, they're sending him to go try to block punts. He's kind of a freak athlete in a way that I remember at the pro day where I was like, man, I don't think we appreciated how good of an athlete Jordan Hancock was until pro day. And I think a similar thing might happen with Caden Curry. We get to the combine and we get to pro day, and it's like, oh, that's why they were playing Caden Curry in all these roles, because he's a freak. And now he has 7 sacks through 7 games, and there's no reason to think he's going to slow down now. Get the text, 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. That'll get you through this bye week and get you through Penn State week, which I know it's not a big game anymore, but it is still big noon kickoffs. Favorite game of the week. Blackout during the daytime, because that makes total sense. I think it's ironic, though, because Penn State does whiteouts at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember James Franklin right before the Oregon game saying he likes the contrast of the whiteout with, the dark sky. Maybe Ohio State's just going to do the opposite.
So this is a troll job?
We could call it that.
Do
you want to deem it the troll game?
Yeah, let's call it the troll game. Okay. I want to call it the troll game for more reasons than one. Go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. I'm Steven. That's Stefan. That's Andrew. Bye week on for Ohio State that return next Saturday to play Penn State. See ya.